Okay, so before I show you how to make the Swiss roll, I do want to just point out that you will see my Swiss roll decorated with cream and blackberries and mint sprigs, and we know that these are all okay to eat, but they're also decorated with nasturtium flowers. Now this is an edible flower that I've picked from my garden and washed thoroughly. What I do want to just make it clear to you is that it's not okay to just go and pick things from the garden and use them in your cooking, not unless you have an adult present with you who knows exactly what you're picking and that it is okay to eat. If you do just go and put things on your dish that you're not quite sure what it is, the chances are you could make yourself extremely ill because a lot of plants are poisonous. Okay, let's see how to make a Swiss roll. Okay, so we're now ready to make our sponge base. It does say on the recipe sheet to mash or blitz the berries. I'm going to do that when the sponge is cooling because then obviously I can show you how to do that as well rather than doing it in advance. So I'm going to move the camera down again. We're going to make our sponge base, and first of all we're going to crack the eggs into the bowl. Okay, so you've got your 5 eggs here, all right, and you're going to crack them one at once into the bowl. So one big crack, you can see I've purposely made a complete hash of that to show you how to get shell out. Now if you've got lots and lots of shell in the bowl here, okay, what you actually need is a bowl of water or a jug of water, and you really just dip your fingers in and then pull that shell out. So if I grab a cup from my cupboard, I can show you how to do that. Okay, so just a little bit of water. The bigger pieces you can obviously just pull out, okay, if you can see that. But if you've got bits in the actual mix itself, I've got a little bit there, okay, it's going to be really difficult. So just finger in the water and you'll find that your wet finger will slide, or should slide through that white, that egg white, there we go. Okay, I've got another bit there, so finger in the water again, and just slide that shell straight out, okay? And then you won't be chasing it around with a fork or a spoon, all right? So we're going to crack our eggs one by one. So I'm going to crack it on the side of a dish with a smaller rim this time to prevent any bits from going in, making sure I've not got those bits that I got in there beforehand. Okay, couple of taps. And just drop it straight in. Okay. And finally the last one. If you're not so confident, I've got another little bit of shell in there, so we'll take that out. Not so confident cracking eggs, just crack them one by one into another bowl, and then you should be able to just take that out. Okay, I'm chasing this bit here. Could do with another wet finger. There we go, got it up the side. Okay, so that method really does work. All right, so we've got our eggs in the bowl here. Okay, sometimes you get little brown bits in the egg. Don't mistake those for shell and be chasing those around. They're just part of the egg. All right, so we're going to add to that our sugar, and this is the 125 grams of sugar, not the smaller amount. All right, we're going to pop that in, all in. I'm going to give that a whisk up, and we're going to whisk it until it forms ribbons. So again, I've got my electric whisk. It's unplugged at the moment. I know it's switched off. Okay, I'm going to switch it on, turn it on at the wall, and then slowly give that a little whisk on a low setting. Turn your bowl round. If it's really noisy and you find that your bowl's rattling around, just grab a tea towel and pop your bowl under a tea towel. Sorry, on top of a tea towel. Okay, like that. And it will stop that bowl from rattling around. Okay, so we've mixed that all together. Keep your whisk down on the bottom of your bowl because otherwise it will fly everywhere if you start to lift it up. You can move it around the bowl or you can move the bowl around if you need to. But I'm going to put this on a high setting now for a little while, just until it starts to make ribbons. So basically that means that if you can do a figure of 8 with the mix and it kind of stays there without sinking too much, you're ready to stop. Okay, so I'm just going to stop halfway. I'm going to pop my vanilla essence in. So it's a teaspoon, so about a capful will be perfectly fine. Be careful, some of them are runnier than others. This one's quite thick, so I can measure it in the cap, but just be careful. You don't want to put more in. Okay, there we go. And we'll just whisk that up again. Right, we'll just check this texture. Okay, it's still quite liquidy. Okay, what we're doing here is we're getting lots and lots of air into the mixture. So if you are using a hand whisk, you're going to have to whisk this for quite some time. You might need to get someone to give you a hand. If you are going to whisk and you're not quite sure how to do it, pop my mixer over there out of the way, then I'll show you with the hand whisk. What you actually want to do is lift up the bowl, and you want to do almost like a scooping motion, like this. Okay, so you might actually find that you're going to stop when you get to this stage because your arm will be aching. Okay, as I say, try and get someone to give you a hand with this, but just try and mix it so you've got lots of bubbles in it. Okay, and that it's that pale golden colour. I'm going to give it another little whisk with my electric whisk for a couple of minutes, and we'll see how we go. So I will join you in a second. Okay, so I've whisked that for another couple of minutes, and you can see now when I pick up some of this, I can make sort of like a figure of 8 and have it completed virtually before it's sunk back into the mixture. And that's the thickness that we want. Okay, so turn off your mixer again. Okay, pop those to the side in the water. Okay, so you can wash up those mixer attachments. And what we're going to do now is just fold in with our hand the flour. Okay, so I'm just going to pop this in all over. And we want to do this really gently because we don't want to knock lots of that air out of the mixture. So just literally mix it round. You can do this with a spatula or a spoon, but it does take twice as long. You've got sort of 4 prongs on your fingers there, and you can give it a good mix. Okay, obviously make sure your hands are nice and clean before you start. And you want to be really gentle with this. Okay, and just mix it through. Lifting it up from the bottom to get any pockets of flour that have actually fallen down. Okay, so we can be a bit more gentler with our hands. Turn your bowl around as well. You'll find those pockets of flour then. Okay, because we're using plain flour here, we're actually relying on the aeration of the egg whites to give us that rise. So we don't want to knock all the air out of our mix. Make sure you scoop across the middle of the bowl at the bottom, because that tends to be where the flour sinks. Okay, so with your hand then, what you can do is then just pour that mixture. I've got my camera on the wrong side, so hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Pour that mixture into the tray, nice and gently. I've probably got a bit too much mixture for my tray here, so I'm going to stop there. Okay, and I'm just going to make sure I pour that into all the corners, just by letting it move. If you want to go and wash your hands at this point, it's quite a good idea. Okay, just getting the towel to dry them on. Okay, and then just hold your paper and make sure that mixture goes right down into those corners. So you're filling the tray. Okay, and I think that's probably enough mixture in there. All right, so if you've got a small tray like this, you might want to just lessen the ingredients. So if you've got 5 eggs and 125 grams of flour and sugar, maybe use 4 eggs and 100 grams of each one, and then the quantity should be okay. Right, so I'm going to pop that in the oven, and it goes in the oven for about 10 minutes. So anywhere, dependent on how well your oven is to temperature, anywhere from sort of 8 minutes to 12 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to just check mine at 10 because I know my oven's pretty spot on, and we'll see what it looks like in 10 minutes. Okay, so my sponge now has been in the oven for 10 minutes and I've taken it out. I've allowed it to cool a little bit, but I'm going to show you, whilst it's cooling a little bit more, how to just prep your cream. So I'll move the camera down again for a bit. Okay, you can see my sponge there. It's just cooling on the tray still, on a cooling rack, just to allow a little bit of airflow to go around it. And I'm just going to mash up my berries. Now I'm using frozen berries here, so there's quite a lot of liquid in this. So you might want to drain some off if you're using frozen berries, because when you add that to your cream, it's if it's too much, then obviously it will water down that cream. So let me grab the cream out of the fridge. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of piping on top of my cream. So before I add the berries to the cream, I'm going to just take some cream out and pop it in my piping bag. Okay, because I want a little tiny bit of piping just on the front, on the top, not too much. I'll just take a bit like that. I'm just going to stand that in the fridge so it doesn't go soft. Okay, then what I'm going to do, get rid of one of these spoons. I'm going to pop my berries into my cream. Okay, and then just give it a gentle swirl around. I'm not, again, going to knock all this lovely air out of the cream. I'm just going to mix it very gently, and then I'm going to pop that back in the fridge. Okay, so your sponge is now cooling, but it will need to cool a little further. So what you need to do to stop it from drying out is just take a clean tea towel, run it under the tap, and then just really wring it out as much as you can like that onto your sink. And what you've got to do is you've got to put your sugar then onto this tea towel. And this means when you pour it on when you put the Swiss roll on the top, this lovely sugar will stick to the outer rim. Okay, so just spread it around your tea towel best you can. Okay, and then this is the tricky bit, is actually getting your sponge to go upside down onto the tea towel. So you need to just very quickly just turn it like that. So pop it onto the side. I don't know if you can see what I was doing there. If I move it this way a little bit, pop it very quickly onto the side like that and just tip it over like that. Okay, and then what you can do is peel off the backing paper. And this will allow the back to cool also. So just do this very carefully. Okay, just unpeel the sides first. Okay. And it should, if you unpeel all the sides, it should just peel off. Don't forget the bottom bit. You don't want to take any chunks off it. Okay. And you'll be able to feel how soft that sponge actually is. I'll pop this over there. Because you've got it on your tea towel, to help it cool, you can try and lift it onto a baking tray if you want, but if you think it's going to split, I would just leave it to cool. Okay, it might take a little bit longer, but you don't want to add the cream to a warm surface. Okay, so we'll let that cool for 5 minutes or so, and I will see you in a second. Okay, so my sponge has cooled down now, so I'm going to move the camera down and I'll show you how to fill it. Okay, so we've got our sponge here. The first thing we need to do though with our knife is just make an indentation round about an inch to the edge. Okay, so if you just cut this, you don't want to cut all the way through, but if you just push that down, it then allows you to lift that up to curl it round, okay, without actually having to try and struggle. So if you then just spread your cream onto your sponge, okay, and you want to leave about 1 centimetre at that side, because naturally the cream will move forward as you roll it, and the same goes for the edge. So I always like to spread it with the back of a spoon. I think that works quite well. You want to bring it out to the edges but not overflowing. Okay, get all of that lovely cream on there. Right, and then spread it down. Okay, so there's quite a lot in this one, so it's probably going to come out at the bottom. So I'll move it up a little bit more. Okay. Don't skimp on the filling, because the Swiss roll is meant to be quite nice, luxurious, not dry. Okay, and now for the tricky bits. You've got to roll this and keep rolling. Okay, so you're going to use your tea towel. So bring the Swiss roll towards you and roll it over. And what you need to do, it's quite hard to do, mine's starting to crack there. Okay, is bring it over and bring the tea towel, which is stuck unfortunately, okay, over like that. Right, so hopefully you get a tighter roll, okay, than that one. This is still quite sticky, probably not cooled down enough. So I'm going to get my platter. The good thing about having it on a tea towel is you can move it around. Okay, my platter, and I'm probably going to need a fish slice to lift it up. Okay, and then my fingers at the other side onto the platter. Don't worry if it's come apart like this one. Okay, rather than trying to move it, because your hands will stick to it like mine just did. Okay, just leave it as it is. It is a really tricky dessert to do, and it's been a while since I've made one. So we're going to decorate this now. So first thing I'm going to do, because it's got a few cracks in it, I'm actually going to get some icing sugar. So however you decorate it is up to you. But I'm just going to try and hide a few of those cracks with some icing sugar. So I'll just grab mine out of the cupboard. Okay. And with icing sugar, you need to make sure that you don't just put too much on. So I'm actually going to use a sieve to just sprinkle this icing sugar over the top. All right, so this is just one idea that you could do. So if I can find my sieve, there it is. Okay, I'm going to put that on a plate. Okay, so I'm really sorry, whilst I was doing the icing sugar, my video recorder just stopped recording for some reason I didn't realise. So I've decorated the sponge cake now, the Swiss roll. So what I'll have to do is just show it to you and explain what I did. So So I'll move the camera down. Okay, so you can see here that I've decorated it with the piped cream, the icing sugar, okay, and also some blackberries and some edible flowers that were in my garden. Obviously give them a good wash under some running water, whatever you're putting on here. And I'm sure you'll probably agree that that dessert looks absolutely lovely now. So I look forward to seeing your pictures and seeing how you decorate your Swiss rolls. So please send your photos to cookery@5acreshighschool.co.uk. Thank you.